Yeah, hello Aravind. Thanks for joining the Twindle group.
Hi, Praful. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, can you just
Thank you
tell
so much
me?
for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. Can you just tell briefly about yourself, like where are you from, and your professional experience and something like that?
Sure. So I studied and finished my undergrad in India. So I worked on a undergrad called geoinformatics, and I specialized in geographical information systems. So I came to US to do my master's in Texas. Once I finished my master's, sort of my dream company, you would say, was in California, Redlands. So I joined the company there, and I sort of started off as a technical support analyst. And 3 years later, I joined a software product team. So we are basically a web app. We work on creating stories, and I work as a product engineer. And sort of my role is to do QA testing. I also work on a lot of project management. So thanks for showing that. I just recently completed sort of my Scrum Master certification for this. So my focus is sort of twofold. I like to specialize in project management and work with developers on our team. And also at the same time, I also try and learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on the side. Um, so on our team, I've sort of worked on submitting several PRs, working on React. So we use Next.js and React as the base stack, and that's sort of what I do on a day-to-day basis. So I would love to learn and improve in web development, and that's one of the reasons why I sort of joined the Twintle project.
Okay, sounds very interesting, Arvind. I think you have a good experience in terms of your professional career.
Yeah, thanks, Rufal.
Yeah, how did you come to know about Twindle?
So one of the contributors already on the project, she's my sister. So she sort of walked me through this project. So she and I are sort of we when we're not like when we're not talking about personal stuff. We most for the most part we talk about our professional like projects, careers, interesting little like things that we find on the web. So she was able to find this project and project first, and she started contributing to it ahead of time. And I sort of learned from her, and I was just sort of helping her through the project today to kind of understand some of the JavaScript stuff. And so I decided to sort of join in and volunteer to contribute to the project.
That's great. That's great. I think this word of mouth is working.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, thank you. And about your Twindle, how's your onboarding experience? Like what you did after you get a recommendation from your sister. So what is the links you said and how you did after that? Or she explained about the project a little bit. And can you talk about what you understood from your point of view?
Yeah. So I think one of the first things was we just walked through what the project's goals and objectives were, which was to sort of be able to take any tweet or tweet threads and sort of convert them into PDF. So that was one of the primary objectives. I think what I really liked in the repo is the great README and documentation. Was very useful to sort of see this high level design chart where I was able to see what was happening. Everything in the code base currently in the main branch sort of reflects what's going on here. Was able to understand that there were two sort of projects going on, one with a server project, which is what sort of has this API to take a API URL and a key and sort of perform this conversion of tweets to PDFs. So it was well organized and it was well documented through the parts I thought, and I was able to follow through. I've sort of been doing some side projects working with Node and Express. So me and my sister were just walking through and talking about that. And also the other thing I really liked was the docs in the documentation. So that made it really clear for me. And I think if anyone who's joining in for the first time, what I would highly recommend them to do is sort of go through the onboarding. And I think you guys have did a great job sort of documenting how you can start contributing to this project if people think that they want to do it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I see that there's a lot of contributors in this project. So that's great.
Yeah, thanks very much, Arvind. Do you by any chance knew how this project is born?
No, I don't. So yeah, that's one thing I probably don't have the context to.
Yeah, actually, this is very random thought. It started very organically. There is no planning into this, for studying this project. So one day, I was just trying to. I'm a little bit active on Twitter. So I was thinking that I have also a few more side project in terms of my sketch notes. So I've created this design using my another side project. So I don't have that much time. So I thought like I'm reading some tweet threads. Why don't I should read in Kindle? Because reading
Hmm.
Twitter is a bit distracting sometime because I can get lots of notification. Yeah, I'm reaching around 10,000 follower. So like opening Twitter, reading something is not very fruitful. I need some peaceful of my time, energy to read in my Kindle. So which is distraction free. Then I thought, I should just tweet it. If anybody is interested to create a side project and will make it open source, and I'm willing to give them step-by-step mentoring and help them. I was expecting at that time that a couple of people will turn out, and they'll also two or three, and we can start something together. But it turns
Hmm.
out around 300 to 400 people approach me from the single tweet.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is very magical power of Twitter. Then suddenly I created various things like we have like Twitter, profile, this
Hmm.
logo and all this design is created all by volunteers. So we have around 144 followers within a week, and we have a Discord channel. There is around 150 members are there. So we have a YouTube channel. So it's growing, and all the document is created by the volunteers. I have not created
Mm.
most of them. So it is like all the people are coming up with the approach. So the main intention behind my thought, right, as it evolving, and I am thinking that it will evolve in the future coming days. So the main idea is that I want to create a project for the beginners. The
Got
beginner
it.
can be anybody, like maybe school student, college student, or some professional like us. Because even though for me, I have 15-year experience, but even though I want to contribute to open source, right, I don't know where to start because the projects are so overwhelming, big, larger. So there is no step-by-step instruction like you do this first PR, second PR, and you are got onboarded. That's the challenge I
That's
face.
definitely true. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you
Yep.
just a little bit elaborate from when you are thinking about open source project? Did you contributed earlier to any open source project, or this is the first?
I have not contributed to open source projects through GitHub, but because most of my professional career has revolved around cartography and maps. So one open source project I did contribute to was with OpenStreetMaps. So it requires a lot of data entry, map editing, and making sure things are QA'd correctly before it actually gets submitted into OpenStreet. So I was when I was doing my bachelor's and the beginning of my master's, I was fairly free, so I was able to contribute to some of those projects, but not anything on the software side. As you said, one of the things I would have liked to contribute to was there was I think it was the project with nano IDs. So I was interested in how. So we were using npm nano ID. So I really wanted to sort of see if I could contribute to some stuff as well. But as you mentioned, as a beginner, so I even though I have some professional experience, most of it revolves around as I mentioned, software testing and project management, that I don't have much experience looking at a repo and saying, okay, I know where to start and I know exactly how to start jumping into an issue or a particular task that's assigned to me right away. Typically it requires like a lot of hand holding, and sometimes people are free, sometimes people aren't, so it's not so easy. So that is definitely one thing that I think this has eliminated. So I mean, granted, like I did work with my sister to understand the basics, I think submitting the PRs or walking through what I should do next has been very easy and straightforward.
Okay, thank you, Arvind. I think that's why we are mostly thinking now the code is not organized properly. There are so many duplicate code. I'm encouraging, like, creating lots of project in a very random fashion, because the initial intention is to encourage people to contribute even though they are wrong. So I
Right.
just want to create some kind of environment, because the building the product, more important is building the team. Once we have build a strong team of volunteers, then we can go into any direction and we can create some wonderful thing together.
That makes sense. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Like, it was a very great call. Do you have any suggestion to improve for the initial? And can you talk about like your first PR experience? Let me open it. I think it is already merged. Just walk us through that, how, little bit, because if somebody don't know what is your first PR.
Yeah, so I may have cheated a little bit. So the instructions to create the first PR was to simply use the GitHub browser to create the file in the first PR folder. Um, in my case, since I sort of already on my day-to-day work, I submit PRs and I work with a bigger team. I sort of know how to use Git and also GitHub Desktop. So I was able to do most of my commits. So as you can see, the Aravind.md file, I sort of committed this direct from my GitHub Desktop, as opposed to sort of creating a file from this particular folder on my forked directory. So I think that's how I was able to do it. But I think the instructions to create the file first, knowing how the GitHub browser part of it works, and then for anybody who's not aware of how Git works or GitHub Desktop works, right? I think that was really cool, because that's sort of how I learned, um, uh, basically learning how the branching system works, or just understanding how PRs work or how commits work. That is my initial conception as well. So starting from there, and then encouraging people to make PRs was definitely an easy first step, I would say. Plus, it also helps that I think in every part you guys have a video or a screenshot as well, walking through steps. So I'm sure, I think for anybody who's following along who wants to submit their first PR, it should be very, very easy. Um, the second one does require some investment, because people would have to install a code editor and then sort of install GitHub Desktop if they don't have one, or install Git. But I think the first task is definitely easy and should be fairly completable by people.
Yeah, thank you, Arvind. Yeah, it is not mandatory for somebody experienced like to go through the GitHub process. That the task was designed mostly for beginner, because I can see lots of people who never, there were few people who created the GitHub account but never contributed to any project. So that will just give an idea about how to fork it, how to raise a PR, and how to. And can you explain about like code review process? We have any code review process in our board, and is it helpful to you to guide you through the step?
Definitely. I think so one thing I really liked was how with GitHub Actions, you guys have sort of already set up like workflows. So depending on the type of PR that's coming in, I think there are lots of like conditions. So if it's your first PR, I like the fact that like tests run, it detects that it's your first PR. It then sends you a nice little GitHub comment on the PR saying, "Hey, welcome." So those were all like very personable, and I think I really liked that. Um, I also liked the code review process. So I like the fact that you have to have two people, and both
Just a
of
second,
the
Arvind. Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. Let me open it so that you can guide his, so that people can relate into screen also. Yeah, now go ahead. Happen. Yeah, you're talking
Yep.
about the GitHub Xn.
Exactly. So for people who don't know GitHub, you can configure GitHub Actions on any GitHub project you create. It just basically acts as a bot, and it looks at the person contributing, and if it's their first time that they contributed, we can set up default actions or on workflows. So in this case, as you can see, it recognizes that that was my first PR in this project for the first time. So it makes this nice little comment welcoming everybody. And also, it was nice to sort of have other people come in, chime in, and sort of be able to comment and let me know if there's any issues or not. So in my case, it's mostly straightforward. So I think it was nice to have two or any time having reviewers review your code. I think is mostly like important, and I think it was done well.
Okay, thanks very much. And how quickly that you got your review command and it merged it?
Oh, definitely, it was really quick. Also, I know like it's in India right now. It's probably like early morning, so it's nice to know like there are people working around the clock um, to look at the PR submitted and to be able to merge them. So I think yeah, for anyone who's just joining now, I think going to the Discord server and being able to sort of send a link to your PR and asking people to see if they can review it. It could be on Twitter as well, or it could be on a GitHub server. Yep. You could join our GitHub server, go to the general channel. So here's what I did. I added a link to the PR and I asked if someone could review this. And I think within a span of few minutes, like Proful, you replied back to it in like 30 seconds. So that was great. And then I also like two other people were able to jump on immediately. So that was awesome.
Okay, that's great. It is glad that your first experience is very smooth. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, thank you very much. And Twitter group, do you know what is Twitter group? Like how to join it?
No. So I felt the Discord option was easier. So given the chances, like I have taken a couple of like courses for web development. So some of those require registering with Discord. So since I had that, I did that right away. But I do not know what Twitter groups are.
No problem. Initially, because I am active in Twitter, so I've created like
Mm-hmm.
a couple of Twitter group, and but it is anyway is it optional. If like I'll just show you quickly the groups about. So we have like team 3, team 2, team 1 group. Currently, we have 3 groups.
I see.
So it is optional. So people, you can also sort out like your review comment. People can get more visibility and join it. But it is not mandatory. So you can join the Discord and continue on the working. But this is another forum where you can talk with people and interact with. Few people prepared Discord, few people prepared Twitter, because this is born in Twitter. So initially I started creating groups and but it is optional. Yeah.
Got it.
And in
Thank
future,
you.
which are the aspects you would like to contribute? I encourage you to do the code review so that other people, even though it is a small, minor, like first PR, second PR, people, the first experience does matter. So I hope
Definitely.
that you will be contributing whenever you get chance, and there is no hurry. There is no need to put extra hour. So whenever you want to browse through, and if you get something, please do leave your reply, comment, and approve the button. So it will help to build the team.
Sounds good. Yeah.
And
For me, I think I would like to see if I can contribute on. I know there's been a couple of front end HTML, CSS to design the homepage and also to design the header footer. Um, since I'm sort of interested in that, and also I like that it's you do not. One of the things I heard from my sister was you do not require a framework. It's framework agnostic. So I think keeping it very simple to just bare bones HTML, CSS, and JavaScript makes more sense. So because I'd like to improve in that particular area, that's something I like to see myself contributing in. But I also have some experience writing node scripts and also just doing some CLI stuff. So that is something else that I can see myself also contributing to in the future.
sure, definitely. I'll just explain what are the things you can do next, and you are free to do whatever you like to do. Okay, there is no hard
Perfect.
and
Yeah.
fast rule that you should be restrained about anything. If you want to contribute something, there are lots of way you can go depending upon completely your interest. And I think the onboarding document explain about like what are the first PR, second PR, and third PR. The first and
Mm-hmm.
second PR you are already familiar. The third PR talk about changing in one file, so that we'll explore some kind of merging conflict. If multiple people are changing in one file, so they'll get merge conflict, then you'll get an exposure how you are resolving and working with the team so that you are collaborating with other people to get the merge conflict resolved. So the video and other step-by-step information is already created. So after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, the peer 4 is extension of the peer 3. So here I would encourage you to put that image. So this is in progress. So for example, if I explain, show you, like in the docs, like team. So this is your third peer. So, you can make an entry as per your beginner other label. So all people can come to see us who is contributing to here in one shot.
Got it.
And we can put some little image in the side by side so that it would be more personalized,
I see. Okay.
So that you need to do whenever you get chance. And
Got it.
also, uh, committing and working with code review process, these two are important aspects. First thing, you have to learn about the project and contribute your first, second, third, fourth peer and work with other team to resolve your issues. Second aspect, that you code review other people code so that you will get to know that what other people are doing. So get some interest and in learning on the process and help other people who are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And other important aspect of it is, right, like I created video, what is my thought process. I won't go explain in detail. So the intention is that whatever the project we have created, right, we have created CLI to convert to EPUB, JSON to PDF. So you have to first execute each and every program. So that would be the next step, so that you know, and you have to put the screenshot here. Like I executed, so this is how the output looks like. This is other people code you have to execute.
Got it.
So that you will be familiar what other people are doing. So you can reply and go through the instruction. Then you can parallelly start contributing and, which was the interest area. And if you encounter any issues, so there is another related issue encountered. So you can say that this is a problem statement. I'm unable to install the Node.js. It's all valid. This is very
That makes
basic, and
sense. Yeah.
we'll put some comment. So any new beginner also come, they have to know to run the code. So because open source project, I think that not only your code matters, but also understanding other people code and what they're doing, because we are going to work as a team.
Definitely.
So understanding other people code is, very important as well.
Got it.
So do you have any concluding remarks?
Um, I think this is great, and I really look forward to seeing and having more people chime in and being able to bring all their different interesting ideas. I think one thing I've often noticed is that sometimes like coding is sort of the barrier to entry. I know like there are a lot of creative people who have good ideas in design, people who've like for example, um, people that I know who have like really great interest in being able to do web design. But I think one thing that sort of limits their barrier to entry is having to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I think, but I have been seeing a lot of people learning. They've been taking self courses and all of that, including myself. Like even though my professional career is sort of linked with cartography and map making, ever since I've joined a product team, my interest has been to improve web development. So I really look forward to sort of learning more from other people, no matter what their background is, and looking forward to contributing more to this project. So thank you so much for having me again, Praful.
Yeah, thank you, Aravind. And we are having daily stand-up call, like
Okay,
5 p.m. IST. So you are encouraged to join, and if you browse through, you'll get the links and other instruction into the repository. So it is optional. So if you get time and you can free to join it. So here we are discussing about who is did what progress. We try to create a brief discussion, like maybe around 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So around 30-40 people joining regularly. It is in Google Meet. So I encourage you to join it.
sounds good. Yep.
And you just recently joined. You may not have any feedback, other things, so you can approach me at the time. But just as a beginner point of view, do you have any critical feedback which needs to be improved? It may be very minor, like updating links, or you got some little bit confused in couple of aspects, and you want us to improve so that other people can work on that.
I think this was more not, I wouldn't say this is critical feedback, but I was curious. I know typically the pattern is to ask people to fork and then to sort of contribute to projects like this from there. But I was also curious if there was a reason why we don't have branching system and sort of working with parallel branches and then merging into the main or master branch sort of process.
Yeah,
Was
let
there a
me
reason that you decided to go in that direction, Praful?
yeah, let me elaborate. Like this is we started just 1 week only. We are completed,
Okay,
and just to avoid confusion to the people who are joining into, just I created a main branch. But gradually, once we evolve, so we'll create like develop branch, feature branch, release branch, and you will create multiple repository. So we'll create people who focus on PDF. So that is on progress, and future you'll be seeing more on that activity. But now I just want to keep it very simple, encourage people to participate, and understand like who is like volunteer, who is actively participating, and understand the team, because we just started.
perfect.
Because
So
having
that
too
makes sense.
many points, so people will lead to confuse. They can't browse through the code. It would be, we have to give cross links, and it will lead to so many confusion.
Got it. Sounds good. Yeah, that was the only question I had.
Yeah, thank you, Arvind. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Praful.